Welcome to North Georgia Business RadioX Business Minute. Today, we are welcoming Dan Solla. I'm pretty sure that you guys have heard him on our show prior. So, welcome, Dan. And he is with the PTSD Foundation. Welcome.
Hi, how are you? I'm so glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me, Joy.
So glad to have you on. Now, I hope I'm not interrupting you because I hear that you've had a pretty big couple of days. Can you let me know what's going on?
Oh, despite all that's been going on in the world, it's still the world keeps turning, and it was my birthday the other day, so I was up camping in I guess I don't know how you pronounce it. I was pronouncing it Suchess, but I heard someone else pronounce it another way up in North Georgia, and we went camping and had a good time out there, social distancing for sure in the woods, and having a good time.
You know, that's one of the things that I love is that, of course, Dan is on Facebook. Of course, PTSD Foundation is on Facebook as well. But seeing all that amazing stuff that you are doing, camping, of course, social distancing, all of this that you have going on with your children, if you would have seen yourself 15, 20 years ago, would you have seen yourself doing this?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I mean, the short answer is absolutely not. I mean, I don't know. Today, when I spend time with my kids out in the woods or in general, I see myself as a father. As an individual getting older, and it's not exactly where when you're younger, you're so selfish and so self-involved. And today, it's all about my kids. And I get so fulfilled and my cup gets so filled from being around them that it's odd to me. It's a different feeling because I'm kind of new at it, relatively new to some people. And my cup gets so filled from being around them and being able to spend time with them. And this has been one of the most interesting times in my life because I'm around them more than I ever expected to be around anyone. And it's been a treat. It's been a trial, and it's been very interesting.
So let's talk about Dan. I love that. Of course, I'm a mom, and we've done several events together, and we've talked, extensively about our children. But talk to me about what was going on.
When I got out of the military, back, I joined. September 11th was my senior year of high school. You remember all that madness. Joined the Army, spent years and years in combat. Well, a couple years after that, and then went to obviously very traumatic time for an 18, 19-year-old. I'm not going to gloss it over, but without going into detail, I went through a lot of trauma at a young age as an 18, 19-year-old, and came back, tried to get my life normal, went to college, got a law degree, was practicing attorney for a little while. And, my life was a mess. And I started a family after that. And I couldn't get things transitioned the way that you would expect, a normal person of my age to do, in their early 20s. I finished a 4-year term in the Army and 2 years in combat at the age of 21. So here I am, a 21-year-old, and I have experienced a lot of, very adult things. And to me, looking back, very much still a child. And
Yeah.
so I went to school, went to college, got a career, but still was very deeply emotionally bruised, very much so. And I self-medicated with first alcohol and then pills and all kinds of things. And obviously that, as I'm sure many people can relate to, there's a lot of fallout from that. And I don't have to go into detail saying there's fallout from self-medicating. I eventually crossed paths, after trying a bunch of different options for treatment with the PTSD Foundation of America about 5 years ago, and went into their treatment center, Camp Hope, and was surprised that it was all just, this free program, free to combat veterans, where they took me in and paid for everything and got me. I make the joke that when they told me, hey, you can go here, we'll give you a plane ticket to go out and go to this treatment center, I thought, okay, they'll harvest my organs and no one will ever hear from me again. But that was the thing. I was so desperate for help. I did it, and it changed my life so fundamentally to be out there around a bunch of other veterans, combat veterans, and to get plugged in, to get a family that I still have to this day. Like, I mean, closer than the family I was born to. These guys, I mean, I hear from them every day. I talk to them more than I talk to anyone that I'm blood related to, and it was an amazing to have that connection. That's something that I missed and something that I lost when I got out of the military. And so, transitioning today, we try and find those guys that are out there struggling, other combat veterans who are dealing with PTSD and all the things that come along with it, which is particularly addiction, alcoholism, and in some cases some significant criminal behavior. And we intervene and we try and get them into treatment, try and get them to participate.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So there's one thing that I kind of want to, and this is a personal thing for me. Of course, as you know, a lot of my family members have been in the armed forces. When you said that you were able to go out there for free, um, just to give a little bit of perspective, um, Dan and I were speaking before we started this interview, and I think perspective is very important at this part, especially when it comes to the PTSD Foundation of America. Nothing is free. You were able to go there because you were fighting for our freedom, just like all of your fellow brothers and sisters. And so I don't believe that that was a free trip. That was something that was earned. And so just that's my little 2 cents there. And I am so proud of all of our brothers and sisters in arms at this point, everything that they have done, are doing, and continue to do. Um, so I hope you don't mind that I kind of threw that in there, Dan.
No,
Um,
no, absolutely. I really appreciate that. I would say that when you say free, there comes to a veteran. I think people out there can understand that, especially people who are dealing with the Department of Veterans Affairs and their healthcare treatment. Is that you have the option of VA, which is available to us as veterans. Which I'm not. I have nothing. I'm not here to diss on the VA, but it is a system that is very complex, a lot of red tape, and to get the kind of treatment that a combat veteran might need is can be very difficult, to say the least. And so beyond that, you have the option of the treatment that's provided to you by way of your service, which is the VA, and then you have the treatment you can pay for, which comes from working and having Blue Cross or another insurance, United, whatever, and then you pay for that. And then this is an option that's the third option that's available to combat veterans, which is a nonprofit that comes in and says, hey, because people cared so much about what you did, like you just said, a sacrifice, that they're willing to pony up the cost, which to me was never something that I thought I deserved, because I went as a kid. I went in for reasons that were 9/11, retribution, selfish reasons, get a college degree, all that stuff, and to think that there were people out there that cared enough to support us was super, super humbling and meaningful, and something that makes me very grateful to this day that this country is one where we support each other and we support people who make sacrifices.
and I think that's probably one of the best things. We support one another. We support our country. Um, I still to this day, I, I cannot walk into any place and see someone with a hat or a jacket or anything. I want to thank them for their service. I don't care when it was, where it was, if it was for a short term, if it was for a long term, it does not matter. And I love the fact that you're talking about, okay, so you can go to the VA, which is, very capable, but like you said, a lot of red tape, and I'm not familiar with that. And that's something that a lot of people can get in touch with you, regarding. But also, PTSD Foundation of America, you mentioned at the end of that, you said, you know what? There were so many people that were giving money. And I know, happy birthday again, but you were raising money and you've already extended, like you've exceeded your goal on, all of the people that are giving money to this amazing foundation. And so, how does that work? Tell us how fundraising goes and tell us how that money is spent.
Oh yeah. So thank you so much, George, for asking that. Yeah, that's a complex situation there. We operate 100% off the grace of the public. There's a lot of nonprofits that receive federal funds and grant money from states. We've chosen quite actively and quite intentively to opt out of that, because once you choose to take in federal money and state money, it comes along with that red tape, which we
Wow.
talked about earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so that has excluded us from a certain revenue stream, and I think that's what's appealing about our process, is that that we are allowed to have a little more leeway in what we do for veterans, to help fellow veterans. But at the same time, and in times like these, we've cut a certain revenue source off. So we do a lot of events, a lot of fundraisers, grassroots, getting people involved, going directly to, I would say, lovely, businesses and corporations. This is North Georgia Business Radio, and I would say there's some great businesses that have supported us locally and nationally, that just come out and they do golfing tournaments for us. One of our largest supporters is a company called Greystar, which is the nation's largest property management company,
Yeah.
among others, Comcast, a few other companies that come in. But a lot of our fundraising is done through events, golfing tournaments, getting
Yeah.
people together, which
It's just,
interestingly enough now has been
and now it's
difficult
not.
to
And
do.
it's so funny. That was actually my next question. I was going to
Yeah.
say, so, Dan, tell us how, like, with what's been going on with COVID-19 and all of the limitations on what's going on, how has that affected you here as the director in this area, and also PTSD Foundation of America as a whole?
Right. So I think that I love to look at every roadblock, if you will, or problem as an opportunity, right?
Yeah,
So
we'll call it a speed hump.
a speed hump. It's taught me as the leader out here, and I think us nationally as an organization, it's taught us a great deal that we need to diversify, right? Just like anything else, when you invest in stocks or whatever, you diversify the way in which we get our funding. Not to say we're looking for that next federal grant, but diversify as in, you know, we're having to learn new ways to do business. I think everyone is. You look at the restaurant industry, definitely everyone's
Absolutely. Hmm.
signing on to do new ways to do business. You look at these DoorDash and Grubhub and all these different companies coming out. I mean, that's this is their time to shine, and I hate to say it that way, but absolutely, it's teaching us a new thing. So for us, golf tournaments and wine tastings and all these things that we used to do to get people out and to raise awareness and raise money are kind of going to be barbecue cook-offs are just kind of going to be a non something we can't do for a little while, at least. Who's to say how long that is? So we're slowly learning. We know that directly reaching out to those people. I learned something interesting. For the fact of the matter is that there are people in certain industries who have the ability to be philanthropists and support us that aren't necessarily struggling. I think the most
Yeah.
amazing thing, and I don't say amazing in a good way, but the most interesting thing about COVID-19 and what we're doing right now is how differently it's affecting different people, right? So
Ah,
different people are having completely different experiences based on what field you work in, what your job was, what your education level is, and what your background is. So one person might be there are quite literally people who are making money now, right? Who are doing who
yes.
their situation has improved because of this epidemic, just like in a war. they're
Yes.
profiteers, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. It's the industry, and there are people who are making money, and there are people who are drastically losing money. So we have to look towards the people who are doing well and say, look, if you want to
Can
be part of this community, look
can
at
you help us
people
out?
that own. Exactly. The people who are owning hardware stores and big box stores, and look to those people and say, look, like, you're at a point right now where you're not suffering. You might actually be doing better. And some of us have to look to them and say, look, at the end of the day, we're going to remember who stepped to the plate, right? As far as businesses go, and who stepped up and did something good. And I've seen some amazing things, and people come out and do some amazing things, and I think we're going to remember that as a society and as a people.
And I think you're exactly correct on that because I know that you and I, we were part of, and are still part of one giant movement that's going on that, it kind of happened on a whim. And, and so I want to give kudos to those people. I've seen a lot of things, and I love what you just said because it's just like a lot of people are saying, when is it going to go back to normal? And I think what we're experiencing now is a new normal. And I'm going to go
Right.
back to that one word that we talked about, and I think that we all need to alter our perspective. We need to take a step back, see what we can and cannot control, and say, hey, okay, what do I have to offer to be able to do this? I mean, just like with you aren't able to do the big golf tournaments at this point. You guys aren't able to do like the luncheons or the dinners or whatnot because of this. Just like you're on the phone with me, you aren't able to sit in front of me in the studio. But we adapt, and adaptation is part of a new normal and a new perspective. And so I
Mm.
think that's amazing. I want to ask you one more thing. How can people reach out to you? Like if there's someone who is in need of these services, and even though we're in this, this crisis at this point, um, how can they get in touch with you? Because obviously a lot of people, they may not have cell phones or whatnot, social media, anything like that. Can you give us that information, Dan?
Yeah, Joy, thank you. So what I will say is our ability to do our job and help the veterans who need our help and those who need our help hasn't slowed down at all. We just have to find new and creative ways to do it. And so we're out here. We're still doing our groups and still taking in combat veterans for treatment. There are multiple ways to get in touch, and uh, obviously you can go to our webpage. That's www.ptsdusa.org. We have the great way is our Facebook page. So that's PTSD Foundation of America, and each individual chapter has their own Facebook page, and we have our national chapter. And then I always encourage anyone who wants to get in touch or find out how we can help. If there's a way to email, you can email me at dan.solla@ptsdusa.org. And yeah, so we're still chugging on. We're still taking in new residents into our treatment center. We are still hosting groups. As a matter of fact, when I get off this call about an hour later, we're hosting one of our groups on Zoom, which is an amazing technology which has taught us a lot about our outreach. And yeah, so we are going on nonetheless, and
And
here to help.
no, that's wonderful. Now, I want to ask, just in case, all right, say somebody here in North Georgia, um, they know someone maybe in Colorado or in Montana or Alabama or someone that could possibly use this. Is there like a national number that someone can call that this can be shared nationally and not just here?
So yeah, Thank you. That's a great question, Joy. Thank you. So we are the beautiful thing about this organization is we have chapters throughout the country, but that doesn't really limit our ability to do outreach to veterans. We will absolutely do as much outreach, including getting an airplane, getting a veteran on an airplane and getting them where we need to get them to treatment. We pay for 100% of that, regardless of where they are in the United States and sometimes outside. We've dealt with the Philippines before, So we will make that happen if they can get in contact with us. The best way is always through our website. If they reach out and let us know where that person is, and a good phone number for contact. I assure you, one of those things is if you go on our website and put that, I have a veteran that needs help tab at ptsdusa.org, we will get in touch with you, and my executive director, who's out in Houston, will be emailing whomever in the middle of the night, regardless of what time it is, to say, hey, we need a solution to this problem that's been presented. So I encourage everyone out there who may know some veteran who needs our help dealing with PTSD addiction and all these other things, to go onto that website, to reach out, regardless of where you are. It doesn't matter if you're in Alaska, Africa, wherever. We'll find a way to help. If it's an American combat veteran who needs our help, or a veteran who served in the United States military, regardless of their nationality, we are here to help them 100%.
And that's what's so amazing. And this is something I am privileged. I myself, Joy Whitlow, am very privileged to know Dan Solla and be as much help as I can to the PTSD Foundation. Please, guys, do not forget, this is not just North Georgia. This is not just regional. This is not just national. This is worldwide. If you know someone who would benefit from this, please go to the website. All you have to do, just like you heard Dan say, all you have to do is reach out, and you can reach out for someone else. Someone will get in touch with you. And it's amazing. I love what these people are doing. Like I said, I think this is one of the greatest organizations that I've had the privilege of even coming in contact with. And so, Dan, we already have all of your contact information. So I do have one thing left to say. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. You made it, and we thank you. And you're helping people too. All right. See?
Thank you. I love it.
Look at that. Yeah, you didn't know I was a poet.
Wow. Look at you.
I know. There are so many things. No. All right, guys. Dan, is there anything that you would like to add before we wrap it up for today?
I think that the last thing I would like to say is that the most important thing that we can do right now is to just be kind. And I think that's the mantra that I wake up to, that a friend of mine told me not too long ago, is that every act that we do right now is looked at as political, whether it be one way or another. But I think if we can all keep a mindset that in the morning, if we can wake up to be kind to each other, then we are winning. We're doing good. So just be kind. That's the thing I can say.
You know what?
Thank you so much.
I love it. Dan, thank you so much for being a part of North Georgia Business RadioX Business Minute, for coming on and sharing how you've been dealing with all of this, and along with your story and what you guys have to offer from the PTSD Foundation of America. And so keep sharing. Share this information. Let people know that there are businesses still out there. This is what we're here for. As Dan said, be kind. Keep everything in perspective, and we'll see you soon. If you own a business in North Georgia, or you know of someone who owns a business in North Georgia that you would like nominated for North Georgia Business RadioX Business Minute, please give us a call at 678-653-5288, or you can email me, Joy, at joy@businessradiox.com.